true difficulty of wilderness survival is astonishing. A 160-pound girl came to survive in the wild for 2 months and ended up weighing just 90 pounds. Her underwear was nearly falling off from how thin she got, but she still caught big fish daily and ate grilled meat regularly. She had so much fish that she couldn't eat it all and even gave the leftovers to the mice. By day 50, only 3 contestants remained, waking up early in the morning. Marder couldn't believe he had made it through 50 days so quickly. With the freezing weather, he boiled some hot water to he couldn't tell if he felt sad or happy inside. Fleming had just woken up. Unsure of the lake's condition, he hoped to fish if it was calm. Wrapped in his blanket, he didn't know how cold it was outside. Mighty was already up checking the fish nets. He hadn't caught anything for 3 days and felt pretty down. He really missed his family. Last night, Mighty couldn't sleep, thinking about changing his child's diaper. He imagined his child small, round, soft bottom like a ball and wished he could give it a playful slap, but unfortunately, he was stuck in the wilderness. For now, he pushed the thought aside. In his free moments, Mighty would instinctively grab a piece of wood to carve toys. His mind felt like it was always buzzing, but he didn't want to go back now. He knew he would regret it if he did. Marder went to the shore to check the fish nets. He hoped to catch a few fish, even though he had plenty. It would lift his spirits. Sadly, he came up empty. He decided to set the nets again, while Fleming got ready to collect his. Both were working hard to get more food. Since food was crucial for their survival, they were putting in maximum effort to catch fish. Fortunately, Fleming managed to catch a big one. After setting the fish nets, Marder went back to the shelter for some water. The weather got colder quickly as days went by. The stream began to freeze as winter quickly approached. Mighty felt the chill more each morning. The flowers and grass on the ground were frostbitten, and ice had formed on the shore's puddles. Fleming checked the shore and found his boat stabilizer frozen too. Marder woke up to find his shoes frozen stiff. A chubby mouse came to its doom again, but it seemed Marder didn't notice. He was preoccupied with his shoes. Mighty checked the fish nets at the shore, but found them empty. He lingered there for a bit. He didn't even bother with the nets. The fish had clearly moved to deeper waters as it got colder. Without meat, he was too drained to work, and sawing wood felt like torture. Firewood was crucial for keeping warm at night. No matter how tired he was, he had to collect wood to burn. After getting back to the shelter, he nibbled on some stored fish and relaxed on a rock to soak up the sun. It was day 53. Fleming came to the shore daily to sunbathe, enjoying his steady food supply and living the good life. He basked in the sun, savoring his fish breakfast. Once full, he took a nap. He was now in a better spot than Marder. A true underdog story. After resting, he went out on his raft to check his nets and caught another fish. Although the fish weren't plentiful, 1 a day was enough. His raft was much better than Marder's. Surviving on scavenged items, he didn't worry about food or clothing. At the shelter, Fleming looked at a photo of his wife, missing his family deeply. I'm not sure if his family missed him, but he was definitely craving some alone time with his wife. It was now day 54. Marder ate a small amount of fish each day to sustain himself. Those pieces were his daily ration. At the shelter, he began preparing breakfast. Some fish he fried, some he made into soup. Although Marder still looked okay, he wasn't as lively as before. His mindset had clearly changed. Marder realized he was losing weight. Fleming, on the other hand, had fish to eat every day. It looked like the title fight was between him and Marder. Fleming had a better attitude, and since both had food, Fleming's living conditions were more comfortable. Every morning, Marder woke up with cold hands and feet. He found it very dangerous. I was speechless. In such cold weather, wasn't it expected to wake up with cold hands and feet outdoors? He stepped outside and noticed ice forming. They were just waiting for rain. Once it came, snow would blanket the area overnight. Marder's shelter had the worst shelter of the 3. His tent couldn't keep him warm at night, and even with a fire inside, it wasn't as warm as a wooden shelter. At night, Marder started crying again, while Fleming was fixated on catching more fish to keep going. Mighty, meanwhile, depended on her stored food to manage. It was now the 55th day. Snow began to fall from the sky. Fleming woke up early to find everything covered in a layer of snow. The weather was worsening. Marder was shocked by the scene. Everything was turning white as the snow continued to fall. Even without much wind, the show's boat suddenly showed up. Marder was quitting, which really surprised me. As the contestant with the most food, maybe homesickness got to him. It's a shame. I didn't think he had it so easy. Still, it's not surprising he didn't win the championship. After watching so many seasons of Alone, there's never been a champion who lived in a tent. Every champion has 2 things in common. They always have food to eat and a good shelter. Marder's exit is indeed a bit regrettable. Maybe if he had built a wooden shelter earlier, he could have withstood the winter cold. After Marder left, only 2 contestants remained. Fleming kept fishing and seemed to be faring better than Mighty. After all, one is catching fish while the other is eating stored food. Today, Fleming caught another fish. After returning to his shelter, Fleming thought his fishing spot wasn't good anymore since he was catching fewer fish. Still, I think he has a good chance of making it to the end. The cold drains a lot of energy, but Fleming's daily meat intake helps. If he can handle the cold, his odds of lasting here will improve. On the 56th day, Mighty, who used to look like a fresh-faced 18-year-old, had turned into a skinny old lady. I didn't expect Mighty to be this thin. If she loses more weight, her underwear won't fit. She checked her fishing net again and finally caught a big fish. To get a fish at this time, and such a big one weighing over 10 pounds, is incredibly lucky. Mighty, who hadn't had any luck fishing for days, finally caught this big one. It's a real stroke of luck and will last her 4 days. In her darkest hour, she found hope again. She cooked up a tasty pot of berries and fish in her shelter. Meanwhile, Fleming suddenly lost his advantage. He didn't know he was already in the top 2, maybe because he had meat to eat. He wasn't worried since he had a pot of fish in his shelter, but then a mouse climbed in and started eating it. Fleming was furious. Watching the mouse ruin his fish, he debated whether to still eat it. That mouse was unbelievably bold. Fleming had eaten raw fish before, so a mouse didn't faze him. Meanwhile, Mighty was still thrilled about her big catch. Anyway, her confidence was back. The sticks in her shelter, used to count the days, were scratched up beyond recognition. Now, she just wanted to hug her child. The show's boat showed up again for the contestants' medical checkup. Mighty and Fleming both had to undergo weight checks. Both had lost a lot of weight. Aside from being lighter, their physical condition was good. However, Mighty was in a very bad mood. She missed her family terribly. Kuei Dun mentioned how tough it was out there, and Mighty was likely to be the next contestant to quit. It was now day 58. At night, both were missing their families, wondering who'd crack first. Each extra day boosted their shot at the $1 million prize. When Mighty woke up, she considered her physical state and was conflicted about quitting. The show's boat arrived again. Who would leave? It was Mighty. Sure enough, Mighty's longing for her family got the best of her. She had just caught several pounds of fish, but quit before she could finish eating it because she missed her family. It was such a shame. Mighty was often starving, only catching a fish now and then. Unlike Marta and Fleming, who had meat daily, Mighty's life was much harder. Her quitting was expected. If she had beaten Fleming, it would have been quite surprising. Mighty's exit meant Fleming won the championship. On day 59, Fleming caught another big fish. Now he was very bored. On day 60, the show crew came to check on Fleming's health again. It was obvious they were there to tell him he had won. Meanwhile, his family arrived quietly, thrilled about the $1 million prize. Who wouldn't be? When Fleming saw them, he could barely believe his eyes. The win felt so sudden. The moment his wife showed up, sparks flew. Tonight, they were definitely going to celebrate. Fleming, who made a late comeback, worked tirelessly each day to find food. He built a raft at the start and then a wooden shelter. This proved his survival skills. His family brought beer. Wow, that was pure joy. The 3rd season of The Danish Alone has wrapped up. Can't wait for the next season.